What's going on, everybody? This is Joseph Indolos. You're listening again to Set to Fail podcast, where we analyze all sorts of failures, pain points, trying to turn adversity into potential business opportunities so we can learn together. We help enable aspiring entrepreneurs, professionals embrace failing forward so they can execute smarter on their day-to-day tasks. It's a great pleasure for me, great episode today, to have Alberto Cervantes. So Alberto is the senior marketing expert of Railsware and also a seasoned marketing executive throughout his whole career. So welcome to the show, Beto.
Hi, how are you, Joseph? Nice to see you again after a while. And thanks for inviting me to Set to Fail.
Perfect. Yes. And I'm very excited to have you on the show. And to our listeners, Alberto, if I'm not mistaken, you are based in Brazil. Is that
That's
correct?
correct. I am not Brazilian, I'm Mexican, but as you know, the world has shrunk today, so everybody's mixed with everybody in everywhere.
Awesome. I would love to, get the chance to visit Brazil in the future. Heard a lot of great things about the area as well as, Mexico. Love Mexican
Mm-hmm.
food. So great.
Absolutely.
So maybe we can start with a quick, let's say, unpacking of
Mm-hmm.
your background, Beto,
Mm-hmm.
and then, some of the things that you've done. I
Mm-hmm.
heard you also had a business in the past, so maybe if you
Mm-hmm.
can,
Yeah.
have the listeners listen to that.
Yeah, definitely. Whatever you want, however, I can help your audience. If anyone is the same or has been in the same situation, hope I can help, really.
Absolutely. Yes. So maybe quick background of yourself, your current role as well, like
Mm-hmm.
Railsware, what you're
Mm-hmm.
currently doing, and also maybe some of the things that make you busy these days.
Sure. Well, I am, from a professional perspective, I am a marketer. Yeah, I have been in, uh, I mean, the educational part, I have been in many things. I have a master in a French university and such. But perhaps as many people or entrepreneurial people think, what really counts is what you have done. And so I am a marketer from the things I've done. Built a marketing agency, participated or worked in very big companies and very small companies in the United States, in France, in Brazil, in Mexico. So almost a bit of many countries. I have also given consultancy to most of all marketing, but most of all email marketing from people really all over the world. I mean, from Singapore, England, Netherlands, Spain, Canada, Latin America, and this is what I do.
Wow, awesome! That's awesome, and congratulations.
Mhm.
You have a wide spectrum of experience. From country to country. So
Mhm.
I'm guessing, the diversity factor of that
Mhm.
has a lot of, associated, you know, challenges,
Mhm.
maybe some failures you've
Mhm.
encountered. So maybe,
Mhm.
from your career
Mhm.
experiences, what are some of, the, let's say, the key takeaways you can share to our audiences? What were some of the
Mhm.
solutions you used in order to
Yeah.
bridge some of the gaps? And then,
Yeah.
also, some of the techniques or the strategies from a marketing perspective. That'll be a great
Yeah.
topic to start.
Of course. Let me tell you. So I guess I was following, as almost many people in the world, I was following the natural professional path where I worked, for example, at Hewlett Packard. I thought I was at the top of my professional career when I landed there, and I was kind of comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, high paid was high paid, and yeah, I lived a comfortable life. And at the moment, I found a Brazilian lady which caught my attention and my heart. So I
Oh.
decided. Yeah, I remember at the time there was United States crisis in 2008, 2009, and many people were laid off. So when I think about your show, Set to Fail, I believe this is one of the things, and actually, currently, many people in many companies, most of all on the tech companies, are living just that. So, one of the things, or this could be perceived as a failure. I got laid off, but believe me, Joseph, whenever a door closes, that's kind of a law of life. If you keep moving, whenever a door closes, many other different ones open. But it was not easy for me. I would say one of the main things, if somebody is on this scenario, well, I took a not very common decision because
Mm-hmm.
I sold everything. I moved from Mexico to Brazil to start a new life. So basically, by laying me off, they gave me the opportunity to start a new life. Actually, I had plans to marry, but those plans had to um, a bit be delayed. And at the moment, I thought, oh, I have a good CV, sorry, a resume. I have a good experience, so it would be easy. I'm gonna find a new job. I'm gonna marry, and then I'm gonna rent an apartment, and that's kind of solved in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
But what I found is that I didn't find a job. I didn't marry.
Uh-huh.
I, I couldn't rent an apartment. I didn't end up living in my mother-in-law's house. But that thing allowed me to start because at that moment I started learning something else, and I
Mm-hmm.
thought, oh, wait a minute, if I can build websites, um, couldn't these other companies who don't have websites wouldn't they be interested in doing the same? And it was a very small city where I started. There were already three different competitors, so to speak, and even so, I started this business. And one thing that really differentiated, even if there were a lot of competition, I believe what really took me up was that honesty, first of all,
Mm-hmm.
punctuality. If you say you're gonna do something, do that. Then quality of your work, and care about your client. Basically, what I learned there was sales. And as every business, if you don't sell, uh, actually, if you don't sell, that's not a business,
Right.
right?
Yep.
So that's another lesson I would say. I would say that everybody needs to know how to sell,
Mm-hmm.
even if you're inside a company like currently I am. uh, you have to sell your ideas. You have to sell your projects.
Mm-hmm.
We are always in a kind of sell mentality.
Yeah.
If there are new projects, so those would be not from the technical marketing perspective, but more from the life perspective. That I would say perhaps for some this is not like a big lesson, but for me it really was. And sometimes you don't need to know everything.
Yeah.
You just have to do something, and the problems will come if you keep moving as the book says, the obstacle is the way. So, and I actually separated. I was um, remembering my life, and I thought about this line from Seneca, which
Hmm.
says, I believe it fits very well to your show. It says, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself."
Oh wow.
So, yeah, so give, give a shot to do something different, to do actually today, because there are so many things. Sometimes when you work remotely, as we do,
Mhm.
yourself is the enemy.
Yeah.
You know, yourself is the limit. And so what I do to overcome sometimes many different projects and adversities, put some challenges of my on myself. So this may be weekly challenges, this may be monthly challenges, or even hourly challenges, and to get things done. So I'm not sure if that was
Oh yeah.
more or less the the answer of this question. And if you want, we can get
Yeah.
deeper.
Yeah. Absolutely. No. I mean, this is very good point. When you talked about unconventional approach to some of these things, especially from a career perspective, as well as
Hmm.
you mentioned a very good point you raised about selling, and also
Hmm.
you have external customers, which are your clients, and then you also have internal customers, which are your colleagues, right? So, it's
Hmm.
really having striking a balance between, an external and internal in order
Hmm.
to have the best output or the best results for everyone is something that,
Yeah,
I don't know if it's the correct term, but it's like, we're walking on eggshells because, we're,
yeah,
we're here to, be, stay empathic,
yeah.
and at the same time, your the integrity within the
Hmm.
teams as well as your clients is really very important. So
Yeah.
thank you for that.
You, you know what, Joseph? I actually came something to my mind. Um, no one knew me when I was here at the beginning in Brazil. Absolutely no one. I have an accent in Portuguese, a very very strong accent. So how could people start trusting me? So at the beginning, trust is what it's perhaps one of the columns of the sale. And when you think about trust, it's perhaps more clear if you think also about um, internal discussions or selling internally with your colleagues. First of all, I believe your image or your personal brand is very important. So, I mean, unfortunately, today we are judged, and
Mm-hmm.
so so the first impression counts a lot. The second thing is that whatever you say, if you sound bright, if you sound like you know your thing,
Mm-hmm.
that will completely you will completely gain the trust of everybody who you talk to. So it's important to, yeah, to be the best at what you are, even if it's just one little tiny square of but be the best you can. So that's
Oh, that's
really
awesome.
what brings that's really what brings trust to people. And if they think that you can help them solve a problem, so that's when you get them. um, yeah, and sometimes is after you gain their trust, sometimes you get into difficult conversations or discussions. I would say this change topic for a bit and then come back to the topic.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
kind of a, well, little specific advices, I would say.
Oh yeah, that's gold. Like, it's very hard, especially,
Mhm,
I don't know, maybe if there are uh, you know, huge cultural differences when you
mhm,
transitioned, but
mhm,
obviously, the language barrier can still be there. So, you're right. How folks would trust you, especially if and it's more difficult if you're talking to someone online,
mhm,
haven't met them in person. So, it's really about, you're right, trying to solve
mhm,
their problems, helping solve their
mhm,
problems,
mhm,
and making the best effort to do
mhm,
that would really help go a long way
mhm,
in really establishing the longer term relationship
mhm.
with folks. So yeah, so as you mentioned about selling and then marketing and all, right? So, and you also mentioned, or nowadays things are changing in terms of
Mhm,
behavior. So
mhm,
from a marketing perspective, especially these days, we have a lot of uncertainty, after this
mhm,
pandemic and things like that. How do you
mhm,
see, the buyers, behavior
mhm.
changing over time? And then
Yeah.
how do you anticipate, you know, um, making email marketing or,
Mhm.
campaigns more efficient
Yeah.
as we approach 2023?
Yeah. So, Joseph, I would say there are two things that come to my mind right away. The first one is the cookieless world,
Oh
um,
yeah.
where apparently they will block or cookies, and that would be a challenge for marketers. The
Mm-hmm.
other thing is the way we market things. Um, Still, so I would say there are kind of 2 to 3 ways that we could see um, sales and marketing and marketing. So the first being like the sales approach, as perhaps this is the more traditional approach where it has been done like forever, where somebody contacts you and want to have a meeting right away.
Mm-hmm.
The other one would be kind of the marketing perspective, which can be looked at as, for example, as a communication from the top to the bottom, where the client is the bottom and you are kind of the top, and so you do kind of email marketing. They get registered, and you start emailing, and then you make an offer. So
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of the marketing perspective. And how I would say, because of course, I would say this will still be working, but users are more and more aware of how they are registering, what are they
Right.
registering for. They are um, receiving thousands of emails. It is a challenge to be in the inbox. And so the third one is like the product-led um, perspective. So this works most of all for software, but this may work also for many other products. In my experience, as I've been working more with in the tech industry,
Mm-hmm.
I see that there are many services and softwares and businesses that still have the marketing approach, when I would say that the product-led strategies it's going to be to take more and more importance over time. Another thing is that yeah, so you asked about B2B most of all, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because being in both B2C and B2B. And I believe B2C has a lot to learn from B2B, and perhaps in both sides. But there are still some flaws about basic things, as for example, authentication, email copywriting,
Mm-hmm.
and most of all, behavioral emails. This means that emails triggered through behavior,
Mm.
personalization. So I would say that this is still, and it's going to be, if not, if people are not using personalization, I would say that would be the way.
Uh-huh.
That's personalization means also relevancy. So that would be, and with that going further, that also incentivizes engagement and retention. So I would say this is how it is changing and will
Mm.
continue. And I would say this is the scenario next
Yeah.
year.
Yeah. Like, you know, you're right on the spot when where you mentioned about the cookie-less world. It
Mm-hmm,
has been delayed, I think, for a number of
mm-hmm,
years, but I think
mm-hmm,
they're gonna put down the hammer next year.
mm-hmm,
So, I think
mm-hmm.
personally, I think, in terms of channels, maybe B2B should also start to consider, let's say, TikTok, or let's say
Yeah.
YouTube Shorts and all, because I'm also trying doing some little bit of experimentation, and I have
Mm-hmm,
seen a lot of
mm-hmm,
marketers are starting to utilize
mm-hmm,
TikTok, so which is
mm-hmm.
good.
Yeah.
Having a competition between TikTok and YouTube is always great
Mm-hmm.
because
Yeah.
consumers win, right? So, and
Mm-hmm,
their algorithms are becoming more and more, uh, you know, close to perfect, if you will,
mm-hmm,
where they're cross matching against the right uh,
yeah.
persona contacts, and also
Mm-hmm,
it will be very interesting to see to
mm-hmm,
what's going to unravel for next
mm-hmm.
year. And also,
Yeah.
we talked about different marketing tactics and all. So
Mm-hmm,
from a B2B perspective, for example, myself, podcasting is a way for me to start
mm-hmm.
building
Yep.
relationships, and then also, like what you said
Mm-hmm.
earlier, try to help, some of solve challenges, in a way of having conversations and all.
Yeah.
So this is just my simple way to do it. But
Yeah.
from your perspective, what are some of the other B2B tactics that we can do differently, maybe this time, or maybe going beyond 2023?
Well, this what you're doing is, I would say, in to some extent, I would say to some extent, um, this thing that you're doing is creating audience, and
Mm.
you are as well lending some authority, and at the same time, you are providing value. Um, Now that you speak about TikTok, I see that exactly many companies are also going that way. And but I mean, on the B2B, talking about the B2B, the other day I because I also follow some other kind of gurus, and said if you want to reach kind of the buyer authority in a big company, could could do you think you'll reach them, or they would be like watching TikTok, or or checking their email?
Right. Yeah.
So of course, everything. I wouldn't say that there are there aren't many things extremely new. As if someone needs to do or to build something, I would say they would better do the basic very well done. And the
Mm-hmm.
basic very well done is thinking about their product a problem, and if it's solving a
Yeah.
problem like they say a problem like vitamin C, or a problem like Tylenol.
Mm-hmm.
So if your problem, so that's the first part. Um, I would go back to the basics. So product is the first part. Think about if it's solving a vitamin C problem or kind of a Tylenol problem. The second thing, or actually the first thing, would be the audience. If you don't have audience, you don't have clients. So audience is extremely important. You need to make a decision, and like they say also, if you're selling to everybody, you are selling to nobody. So it's important to make some
Right.
decisions about who you're targeting. And um, I would say um, that's it. You need
Mm-hmm.
to have a product, solve a problem, and have some audience.
Absolutely. Yes. That's really, something that help us calibrate. Because you're right. Not everyone is allowed to do social media during work
Mm-hmm.
hours and all,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's most likely they're checking their emails and all. So it
Mm-hmm.
depends on your target audience and all, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
social media can definitely still be the nurture
Yeah.
cycle, but in terms
Yeah.
of like tractions, I think making the traditional way of making your product, lacking of a better term, like future proof. So it's something that's not just feature packed, but really it's about helping solve issues almost
Mm-hmm.
seamlessly, right? So now, so going to Railsware and your current
Mm-hmm.
projects that you're running in your company. What are some of the business or consumer challenges that you guys are currently solving, and how do you help clients right now? Do you focus helping them with software development and things like that?
Mm-hmm. Well, Railsware, um, talking truthfully, is one of the best companies I've worked ever. This is a product studio, and actually earlier today I had a meeting with developers, and you can see the quality and yeah, and the how they invest themselves in helping our clients. So we have many different branches. The first one being a product studio. So actually, we build software. Whatever solutions you wanna build, Railsware can do it. I swear to you, there are people from all over the world,
Wow.
and just so you know, they really take a lot of time um, recruiting professionals. They spend a lot of time choosing who is gonna be in the team. And now that I am in, because I actually have entered this year, I understand why. Because everybody's very, very, very professional. So whatever software or solution you want to build, if, either it's an extremely big company, there are extremely big. One of the biggest cases of Railsware is they actually have built an unicorn, which is Calendly. Calendly.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so the studio back from Calendly, in the back from Calendly, it's Railsware, and
Wow.
that speaks about the quality and capacity. And the other branch is we have own we own products, and these are Mailtrap, which helps developers test their emails. Coupler, which is
Mm-hmm.
data connection tool, and Smart Checklist, which is the product that I run, which is an app or an add-on for the Atlassian marketplace for
Mm-hmm.
developers to use Jira and Confluence, which is most of all a developer tool, which work with the agile method, but there are many other use cases with financial marketing teams and HR, etc.
Wow, awesome. So you mentioned about, these brands, which is, really compelling, especially to our listeners. But also, have you experienced, from a like a business case or a case study
Mm-hmm.
standpoint, were there a few ones that were challenging that you've encountered, not just with your current role, but maybe somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
some in your future roles where,
Yeah,
it was very challenging, but with good reason you were
yeah,
able to flip things around and make it a customer success story.
yeah. I would say still in the B2C, there was a product which was a one-time sale
Mm-hmm.
product. One of the challenges was to change it to a subscription model, and so well, perhaps when I tell it, it doesn't sound as very difficult. Um, but actually, what I want to say is that this is part of the um, previous things that happened.
Mm-hmm.
So we had this product which changed into subscription model, then changed. It was an online product, then it changed into being an app, and when it turned an app, I was on in charge of many things, but one of them was email marketing, as
Mm-hmm.
usual. And so we were receiving around 20,000 contacts per week, and because there were two versions, Android and iOS, right?
Mm-hmm.
And most of all, so we were getting a lot of traffic, a lot of contacts, but not many sales. Um, so we made the error of emailing everybody, and I took some hard lessons from out of this because there's something called feedback loops, which is
Mm-hmm.
kind of a spam. And because many contacts that were downloading the app were getting also unengaged, and we were emailing them, basically we were spitting to the air
Mm-hmm.
because as much as we kept emailing them, our reputation went down and down. So to save a reputation that is down from your domain is not easy. Um, some of the things that I have implemented were specific for not emailing people who don't open your emails at the beginning. Also, some other things are be very sure about your authentications. And this is, I mean, the basic of the basic, but at the moment, that wasn't the basic for me. And I'm talking about DKIM, the mark, and SPF authentications. Um, you also have to check if your email is blacklisted. You have to check if the reputation of your email. Some other tools that can help you are the Postmaster tools from Google to check your actually, reputation, domain reputation. Another tool is Mail Tester, MX Toolbox, Sender Score.
Mm-hmm.
And with all that, you build a system where you actually email only to segmented people so you can be more relevant, and you do your onboarding session, you are relevant, and you're not emailing people who are just curious and unengaged, and you do an offer only for those people who are actually engaged, and you will get more money from a 10,000 list than a 400,000.
Nice.
Yeah, so basically that's the lesson. So if you are okay, or you are okay with your authentications at your email, if you have an email challenge, know that sometimes or most of the time you will get more money from an engaged 10,000 list than an unengaged 1 million list.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense. Instead of doing the spray and pray
Mm-hmm.
approach, really having a focused effort
Mm-hmm.
provides
Mm-hmm.
a lot of value, attractions, and ultimately revenue, right? So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so in terms of someone that's starting a business or beginning with their professional career, what are some of the advice that you can give, especially if they're doing a marketing profession or marketing agency? What are some
Yeah.
of the the learnings that you can share to them?
So this would be kind of a um, summary of everything that I said before. Um, and to summarize my summary, I
Mm-hmm.
would say, first of all, be trustful. Take care of your image, or online, or if it's you in person. That would be the first one. The second thing is, be good at what you are, because if you sound like you know what you're doing and you can solve a problem, um, that wouldn't be your progress wouldn't be there's always room for everybody. So that would be a question, if am I going to do fine or not, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's um, it's uh, then three things: have a product or a service. If you don't have money to invest in a product, then sell services that
Mm-hmm.
will take your time and you will get money. Then you have a product, you have to ensure that it solves a problem, and if it solves a Tylenol problem instead of a vitamin sobre, that's better.
Mm-hmm.
The last thing is audience. Audience is you have to have audience. So I would say, if you actually are able to build audience from a specific segment, let's say you want to sell to moms,
Mm-hmm.
mothers, and you're selling something, and they are engaged with you and your content or your solutions or your brand, believe me, you can sell whatever you want or something else to mothers.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you're selling, I don't know, jackets. You
Mm-hmm.
can sell lipstick, or
Yeah.
as well. Another thing is, once you have sold, be or care about the engagement and then about the retention. It is most of the time easier to keep selling to the same public
Mm-hmm.
that to grab new clients. So those would be some of the advices I would give
That
to someone.
that's that's gold. That's awesome. I believe there's a lot of value that you can bring to the table, and also, your wisdom, your insights. It's is indeed a blessing to the world. So, for the benefit of our listeners, Beto, where can they
Mhm.
find you? If, let's say they wanted to, interact with you. Are you in LinkedIn? Do you have
Yeah.
a website, a personal website, or
Yeah.
mhm,
So they can find me here at LinkedIn, and also at Instagram. I don't really use actively the other social media, but LinkedIn most of all could be the place.
Okay, great. Yes, and to our listeners, we will include the links to the description so you can easily, you know, reach out to Beto. So Beto, this is very, helpful as well as I've learned a lot. So I appreciate you taking the time today. So, and if you have any comments or suggestions or feedback, just let me know. Yeah, I'm happy to refine and incorporate that in future episodes. And maybe we can also, have a second episode sometime where we can talk about maybe like marketing technology and things like that. So that'll
Sure.
be
Sure, absolutely. And if your audience have, by any chance, a doubt or something, I would be happy to help. Definitely. I hope I actually helped your audience because,
I've,
as I've mentioned you, I have a very cluttered mind and I can't stop talking. But hopefully, it went fine for you and your audience.
Absolutely, yes. And to our listeners, again, if you have any comments, suggestions, feedback, this is going to be on YouTube, so you can drop a comment there. And if you have time to rate on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, would be very appreciative and that would help the show continue. So again, guys, thank you so much. This is Joseph Indolos. You're listening to Set to Fail podcast, and I look forward and seeing you guys in the next episode. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you, Beto. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Joseph. Bye bye.
And there you have it. We hope you enjoyed and learned a lot in this episode. And if you did, please subscribe to YouTube, hit the notification bell, leave us a comment, also reviews on Spotify and Apple Podcast. This would really help the show to continue creating more and more insightful content for us to learn together. Thank you very much. Have a great day.